An organization is supposed to be a safe place. But what if it doesn't turn out to be a safe place for some people? I'm referring to what is called as workplace bullying. Now, often we face situations at organizations where certain people end up facing workplace bullying. Now, the bullying can happen by one person, or it could be done by several people all together at the same time. But it's important that we get rid of the menace of workplace bullying. Now, bullying can sometimes be verbal, sometimes it could be threatening, sometimes it could even result into physical harm or physical intimidation. But whatever the form might be, bullying is an absolute disgrace at any workplace, and it puts at risk the social fabric for people to work together. And therefore, it's important that any organization deals with it with an iron fist. But what is it that we can do as individuals to deal with workplace bullying and to get rid of it? So here are a few things that you might want to consider in case you are a victim of workplace bullying. The first thing that you need to do is to know your organization's or your company policies really, really well. Because sometimes what you might consider as an exploitation might be the predominant culture of the organization, where people take it as a liberty to act in a certain fashion to make their presence felt. Or they believe that dominating others is the only way to make your presence felt in the organization. So you've got to be aware about what the organization says in the context of workplace bullying. What is the organization's definition of bullying? And what you're facing, does that get counted as an act of bullying or not? So being clear about the organization's policies and the actions that the organization is likely to initiate if someone is found guilty of bullying is very, very critical from your perspective. The second thing you do is to also try and document the behavior that you are encountering from the other person or a group of people. For example, if someone is using verbal language, which is outright insulting or humiliating, or for that matter, if there have been certain instances where people have tried to threaten you in any other form, then you got to make a note of such situations. The reason you got to make a note of these situations is it will act as an evidence whenever you lodge an official complaint. And therefore, it's important that you start documenting these acts. Many a times, if you lodge a complaint but tend to make a generic complaint saying that in general, I face of bullying a lot, then it might not mean much. But when you share your thoughts and concerns with evidences which point out exactly what you're referring to, that holds a lot of credibility. So always document such instances, no matter how many such instances you are facing. Number 3 is to seek support. Now, it's not always recommended that as soon as you face any such situation, you directly go and lodge a complaint. That might not be advisable because sometimes people also tend to do it with a sense of humor. Or for that matter, some people do it in a form to get close to other people because they want to break any barriers. So they end up saying things or making remarks which they might consider harmless. And therefore, it's important for you to first and foremost seek support from other colleagues at work and get to know about what is really happening. Does this get counted as bullying or not? Because it's important that you also receive support from other colleagues at work. And once you receive that support, it might be possible that you're able to deal with such situations even in an informal fashion, and you need not go to the topmost authority in the organization. So it's very important, number one, that you're clear that what you're facing right now is bullying. And secondly, when you share your experiences with other colleagues at workplace, also to get validation from them, what do they consider about the current situation? And would it be absolutely critical for you to go ahead and lodge an official complaint? But even before you lodge an official complaint, there is one more effort that you can do, and that is step number 4, which is to confront the bully in an assertive fashion. Now, many a times we think that people who bully us are stronger than us, either through designation or because they've spent more years in the company than us. So whatever might be the situation, that does not mean you can't confront the people who are bullying you or trying to bully you. In fact, many a times we take it for granted that people who are bullying us are aware of the fact that they're bullying us. Sometimes they may not be. Sometimes it could be their second nature to try and dictate terms to others. So if you're not comfortable with a comment that the other colleague is passing, or the way they look at you, or the way they touch you, or for that matter, the way they treat you in general, then it's important that you go ahead and talk to them in a one-to-one capacity. Or perhaps if you're not comfortable doing that, you could also seek remedial mediation. You could ask one of your colleagues at workplace to join you during the course of that conversation so that you can let the other person know that, look, your behavior is not appreciated and it's causing a lot of personal turmoil and discomfort for me. Last but not the least, if nothing of this works, then you definitely have the route where you officially lodge and file a complaint against the concerned person. But whenever you lodge a complaint, remember what we discussed earlier, back it up with solid and concrete evidence. You might also want to suggest that I've tried all of the alternatives that I needed to, in spite of which the bullying hasn't ceased to exist. It hasn't stopped. And therefore, you have no other resort but to lodge a official complaint about this. And then it is up to the concerned department to take care of the situation and resolve the matter for you. Now, workplace bullying, as I said earlier, is an absolute disgrace, but it still happens to be a reality at several workplaces. So if yours is a workplace where you see bullying, remember, if you're tolerating it, you're supporting bullying in some way or the other. So do not tolerate bullying in any form, in any fashion. And it's important that you counter it and you take matters head on. That's the only way that you can actually minimize the negative impacts of bullying at the workplace. Creating an amicable work culture where everyone enjoys working with passion is every individual's responsibility. So any kind of injustice or any kind of physical threat is experienced, then it becomes your responsibility to report the matter and get rid of the matter as early as possible. I hope these tips will be of some utility to you as you spend your time in your organization. I wish you a great atmosphere in your company and hope that you always have a pleasant atmosphere whenever you work. Thank you so much.